Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It's Friday afternoon, July 26th. It's 1:10 p.m. Central Time, so a couple hours left in the trading day. It's a strong day today, and I just want to show you or talk about my sector money flow scans. I'm going to talk about the ranking module, how I use it to get a quick snapshot of the strongest stocks within a group, and also be doing some chart commentary and so on. Always remember the market is your teacher. Now, very quickly here, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you want a trial of HCS Investor, just go to highgrowthstock.com and you'll see the link to download the software, and you'll get a free 30-day trial. Now I'm opening with up with my thinkorswim. I just want to show you what we're looking at for a market here. You can see the Dow's up 1.80, 720 points. The S&P's up 1.62. The S&P, that's the 400. The 500's up 1.32. 600 is very strong. It's been strong for several days. These are the small cap stocks. And then moving down here, I'm just going to jump down to this, my internals. Here's the NASDAQ composite up 207 today, or 1.21%. If you look over here to the right, and I'll close this, you can see the NASDAQ on the daily chart here. This is the comp. If you look up here in the corner, you'll see that no volume with this through thinkorswim, but you can see that this is a bounce back day after several days, or a couple of days of falling here. There were 3 days after the gap down, and then it rallied for a couple of days, but you can see right here on this candle that sellers were dumping going into the close, and then a gap down on Wednesday, Thursday, and here's Friday. But today, it's a strong day. Now I'm going to get this back to this. Here's the weekly chart. Here's a 78-minute chart, and here's a 16-minute chart. So you can see how I'll maximize this, how this looks over the day based upon 16 minutes. It was up here much higher, and then it dropped off, and now it's rallying again. Okay, so I'm going to move out of here. Well, one more thing. I'm going to bring this back up. I want to show you on the NASDAQ here, there's 2,700 advancers and 1119 decliners. And on the NYSE, or the NYA, 2117 to 499. So you can see that it's a pretty strong day. I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to go into HCSI, which I had in the background. I'm going to just update the intraday now using manual updating because when it's updating, when I'm doing these videos, sometimes it hesitates and slows down a little bit. So we'll just do manual for this. And the next thing I'm going to do is I want to make sure that my indexes, or my user groups, industry groups, are up to date. So I'm going to click on Industries, go to the Tools menu, Rebuild Indexes and Groups, and this will rebuild the indexes according to the data that I just downloaded. It takes no time at all to do this. So I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm in my warehouse view, and what I want to talk about today is, let's see where the money is flowing in on the sector stocks. These are the stocks that are in the S&P indexes, and the way I have this set up is, here, let's bring this up, and here it is right here. This is sorted on the percent industries up. If I click on the raw combo over here, I have to take my arrow off so I can activate that. I should have Okay, it's already there. So you can see, looking down in this column right here, the consumer discretionary, there's two stocks at the top of the list, one in communications, uh, consumer discretionary, and more consumer discretionary. You can see these are the sectors I'm looking at. Here's the industry, other commercial services, and these are in other wholesalers, home improvement, and so on. So just by using this view only, sorting with the raw combo, and you can see quickly which industries are strong and then which stocks within these industries are showing up in the money flow in. Now, to be in money flow in, these stocks have to be at least 50% of their intraday range. This is arbitrary on my part, of course, but it seems to work very well. So if a stock is in that range, at least 50% of its daily range, I consider that to be money flowing in. I don't have a volume requirement on here, but when you see a stock like Centene at 95.85% of its daily range, up 10.52%, trading at 129% of its average volume based upon the 90-day, that tells you there is real strength there. And look at it right here on the daily chart. Earnings evidently came out today. This stock has been in a strong weekly downtrend, and you can see that it's been underperforming the S&P 500, which is in this chart. This is my weekly candlesticks VPA chart. It's been underperforming, but this week it gapped clear down to here. This would be on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and you can see right here, looking at the earnings due, this is the 26th. Let me bring my arrow up right here. It reported earnings today, and they must have been good because this thing shot up. Now, this was oversold. There must have been some inkling or some word out on the earnings because there was strong buying on this day in particular and pretty strong here. And then those who had the courage to hold overnight are being well rewarded today with a 10.52% gain. Now, after the gap opened, traders were not scared off because it opened here, traded down just a little bit, and now it's trading at 95.85 of its daily range. So the earnings must have been much better than expected. I'm not going to go look at them, but we just have to surmise that's what happened. I'm going to close this up, and you can see there's 3 other managed care charts in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to the industry group, and that's going to isolate these stocks. Now I want to do this because I'm going to bring the ranking module into play, and I'll just click on ranking, and it's going to overlay my warehouse view. Now what this does with my setting of Wilder RSI number of weeks, these are weeks, 14 weeks, I've figured out several years ago that if I use that setting, it's going to show me the strongest stocks in a group based upon the 14-week relative strength. And I'll do this on some other groups with more stocks. But look at this. When I click on that, look how strong this chart is. And then I'm going to go down to Molina at the bottom and compare it to Molina. Now, big earnings here too, evidently, but you can see the difference here. Here's the weekly chart, big reversal on this stock. Let's go look at the weekly chart on Humana. This started back on May 3rd on this Friday. This was a strong weekly chart, and then here's a new high, here's another new high, and it's just continued to be strong over several weeks. And by using this relative strength based upon Wilder RSI of 14 weeks, you can quickly find the strongest stocks in a group of stocks, or for that matter, in the database. Now I'm going to just click on this and click back through to the warehouse, and then I can look here and see what these stocks are doing today, where they're trading within their range, and if volume is heavy. From here I can go back to my original group of the stocks showing money flow in. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing again, take you through the process again. This is home improvement. You can see the industry group is up 4.02% today. And I'm going to change to the industry group and isolate these. You can see how these are trading today, but let's look at the longer term. So to do that, I'll go into the ranking modules. It tells me that Mohawk, based upon the relative strength, is the strongest stock in the group. Now here's the weekly chart. Here's the daily chart. It had a big move off the bottom, pullback, effort to rise here, and then a gap up. Let's go to the warehouse. Earnings have been out for a few days because it doesn't say it's today, so it's moving on some news. Now, looking at the information in the warehouse, by isolating on home improvement, I can see that Mohawk crossed over, the 3 crossed the 6 14 days ago. So if I drop down to the 3-6 crossover, and you can see that it crossed right here, coming off the bottom after stopping volume and no supply. No supply, stopping volume, no supply, effort to rise after it crossed over. And it didn't cross back down. You can see it got right down to it, but it didn't. On the pullback, it didn't cross back. So here's the safe entry down here. And now, obviously, you'd be chasing it. Looking at this, you can see how it's outperformed the S&P 500 over these last 3 weeks. The blue line is the industry, and the green is how this stock is performing compared to the rest of the industry. And you can see the green line is straight up almost, so it's outperforming. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm just going to make this full screen. I want to look for, see if I can find some larger groups here. PC insurance, that's a pretty large group. Looks like semiconductor devices are on the move today. There's money flowing in because notice that on the percent range, all of these are 50 or above. So let's use the semiconductor devices, which is a group that's been out of favor. I'll change to the industry group, and I will click on ranking module. And this tells me, based upon the 14-week relative strength, that Texas Instruments is the strongest stock. I want to bring this weekly chart up, and you can see that it moved up sharply here. It's really just been consolidating for several weeks, and you can see that in the daily chart here too. And it looks like it may go, may or may not. I wouldn't get too excited about this. Not yet anyway. Just draw this rectangle around here, and you can see the consolidation area. It tried to break out here, and it was rejected. This is a shooting star, but it's under accumulation. But based upon the relative strength rank of 14 weeks, this is the strongest stock. Here, it's at the bottom of the list, but I am not in the ranking module. Now I'm in the ranking module. Let's go down to the bottom stock, Intel. And it is the weakest stock in the group. As you can see, it had a little rally here, for a few weeks, but it collapsed, it failed. But just by using this ranking module, we can get insight into a group or all securities and get a reading on the stocks. Now, what I did, for those of you who have my files, I've added most of my chart. All my charts here have been white, but I had these from prior. They were built prior to this. I just added them to this context chart group, and you can see that this is a relative strength. This number here, Wilder, is a 14-day, and this is a 14, still a 14-day, but based upon a weekly chart. So this number is 40.2598, and it's the same here. So I don't have the ability in this box to put a 14 week in here, so I just stuck the 14-day in here, and it tells you if the RSI has been up or down over the past 2 days or 2 sessions. So this is my daily chart. On relative strength of RSI, this is a 70 overbought level. Green is the oversold level. So it was oversold here, and it got overbought here. Put on the crosshair. And then it started coming back, and now it's back at near the oversold level. I don't know if you'll want these charts. They're just for really illustrations, so you can put the stock or ETF in perspective based upon the relative strength. Now I'm going to flip back to the warehouse view, and you can see, looking down these columns, how weak this group has been. This is the days down since the 3 crossed the 6, and the days down since the volume point of control crossed to the downside. So very weak group. But out of this group, going back to the ranking module, based upon the Wilder 14 weeks, and you can experiment with other weeks if you wish, this shows me that this is the strongest chart, especially when it's compared to this chart, the Intel chart. Let's look at one more in here, monolithic power supplies. This is a strong chart based upon the weekly chart. It's been going down here. You can see the relative strength has been falling. But it looks like it might be setting up. Now today, like I said, this group's doing pretty well because there's rotation into it. Bargain hunters are obviously coming into this group. Now another chart that I like to use a lot that are in my context charts are continuation up and down filters. Now this is a white chart. When certain conditions are met, it tells me that there is continued buying. Now here's the original buy here, the 3 crossing the 6, and the requirements of this filter are that the 3 has to be above the 6, and there has to be a higher than average volume to form a pocket pivot right here, or an effort to rise candle. And you can see on all of these days there was follow through. There was follow through here too because of this pocket pivot. Just a slight pullback, and then it moved up again, and then here's a reversal, a gap up reversal. Went up 3 days in a row, surpassed this high, but it failed, and this is when the rotation out of the semiconductor stocks began. And when you get a heavy rotation out like that, everything seems to go, or generally goes, I should say. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to go into this, and you can see, let's see how many days down. Well, a lot of them didn't break down until a few days ago, but leading the way was Micron 11 days ago. And this is not only continuation up, it's continuation down. Here's a rotation out. Every one of these rose color bars shows you the continuation down, and there's just been a tremendous amount of selling pressure. When you combine this with VPA flags, this chart can be very helpful. Now, looking up here, this is the blue, is the RS to the industry is green, so this has been underperforming its industry. This is the group, and you can see the rotation out here at this point. And this one, Micron, has been underperforming, although the earnings were pretty good when they came out a few weeks ago, if I remember correctly. Okay, I'm going to back up. So this is sector stocks in. Now these are based upon the groups. So I wanted to show you when the groups are arranged like this. It's easy just to right mouse click and get them all together in the next view. Once again, isolating communication equipment, Apple's in this group. And here is the ranking module. What's the strongest stock in here? Based upon 14 weeks, it's Motorola Solutions. And you can see how strong this stock has been. Had a slight pullback here for a couple of days, and buyers are coming right back into it today. Now, let me get back here. Back to all securities. Now these, I don't know if you've been using these or not, if you have my files, but you should be if you want to see what the rotation in the market is, because these work very well. Now, these are all securities sorted on industries up, and you can see cable and satellite. That's a very large group in here today. I'll just go ahead and isolate it, change to the industry group, that I can quickly flip through to the ranking module, and you can see that this has been red for a long time, and last week it went to yellow and then green today, so there must have been some pretty massive movement. Let's bring it up and take a look, and you can see that it's been under accumulation, and it moved up a little bit in the ranking module. Last week, 719, and then this week it shot up to 99 because of this big move here, based upon some news or some earnings. Going to click through to back to the warehouse. Now let's do something else. This is all securities, of course. And there's 1,898 of these. And let's go to Moneyflow out all securities. And this is sorted on industry group down. If you look over here, medical devices, this group is down today. But just because they're down for the day doesn't mean that they're going to stay down. So one way you can use this is there's 601 securities in here. I'm going to click through to the ranking module, and we're going to take a look and see what the strongest stock based upon the 14-week is doing today. I want to minimize this, get back in that ranking module, click on my home key to take me to the top, and this has been a great stock. This has been one of the better stocks I've seen this year, actually. And look how beautiful this is, coming from, I need to get my crosshair, around the $3 mark got up to around 14. I'm going to do an alternate A and bring this line up. I'm going to click right here, go up to its high point, and that was a 329% move to the high point. All you need is one or two of these stocks if you have a large enough position to really make your year. And look how tight this stock has been. I'll close this here. Once the move started, here's a low pivot, here's a higher low, here's a higher low pivot, and it just kept moving up, and finally there's a little bit of profit taking. But this needs to go into the watch list because yes, it may pull back a little bit, but this is one of the tightest charts I've ever seen. Now look at this chart, this continuation chart. All of these green bars indicate that the conditions were met for the visual filter back test. At this low point here, you can see high volume up bar closing on the high and strength seen returning, and then a confirmation of that, and then a test, confirmation of that, and it just kept going up. All of these green bars, the conditions were met to with either a pocket pivot or an effort to rise, or both, and the 3 above the 6. Let's look at the second one. One thing I want to point out, look how long this has been green going back to January. It's been the top, one of the top ranked stocks. I'm comparing it to the 600 other stocks within this group. That's what the ranking does. If I take the filter off, it would compare it to every stock in the database. Let's look at this one. I'm going to show you that. Okay, this one too has been green for a long time. Look at this beautiful weekly chart and the daily chart. Gap up, been mostly up. A few pullbacks, but it didn't. Well, it got slightly below the 18, but not much. Found support at the 18 here, and all of these green buy signals. Now what I want to do is, remember these are down, but I want all the stocks. So I'm going to get out of the Moneyflow, and I'm going to go down into my folder. Okay, these are my favorites. I'm going to go down to the Essentials folder, and I'm going to go to folder number 1, Stocks Assigned to Industry Groups, Intraday. So there's 3,581 of these stocks that come up. And now, when I rank these, I'm comparing 3,581 rather than the 601 that was in that group. What comes to the top here? I'm going to click my home key. Alpha and Omega Semi, I believe I looked at that earlier. Let's look at these again. I need to get up to the top quickly. Into the ranking module. If you click on the home key, it'll take you to the top. So here's Alpha and Omega. It turned green back on May 24th. That's the 10th. This week right here, and it really hasn't looked back much. You can see a lot of buy signals here. Little pullback, not too bad though. Clover Health and I don't know this company. So just look at the chart though. It's a little cheap stock, but still it doesn't matter. It's been moving up. It's more than doubled. This is stock I'm currently in. I've been in and out of it a couple of times, but look at this move here. This was the week of 5/17. Let's see where it was going from red to yellow right here, and then it turned to green. I didn't notice this until it was late in the game, but look at this thing after the breakout. All of these buy points. And here's where it is today. Now, I was in it here. I made a few $100 on this, and then I got out. And when it started going yesterday, I got back in right here, and I'm in it right now. So we'll see how it goes. But this is a very strong stock. Let's go into the warehouse. You can see that it crossed over 3 days ago, the 0 being crossover day. Here's what's also important, the relative strength rank. You can see it's up 15.32% today, and I think it was up 20 yesterday or something. So it's given me a good ride, but it's just one stock. I got lucky, but I used this method to find it looking for these strong stocks, and that's how it came up. Not only the warehouse, but I'm incorporating the ranking module. Anyway, that's it for this week. Have a good weekend. Try to stay cool. It's hot here in Nebraska where I am, and probably hot where you are too. But anyway, hope you enjoy this. Let me know if you have any questions at ron@highgrowthstock.com.